Welcome to the KOMO Sports End Zone podcast with KOMO Sports Director Niko Tamurian and Najee Moye.
Hey, what's going on? And welcome to August. This is the KOMO Sports End Zone. I'm Niko Tamurian. He is Najee Moye. What's going on, Najee?
Niko, welcome to August. There's a lot of things happening right now. There's always something happening. I feel like we always start by saying that, but goodness, my head is spinning.
My head is spinning. You know what's funny? For all this going on, I think the thing that you and I are talking most about is NCAA football returning.
That's been like 90% of our conversations for the past like 3 weeks since the game came out. Honestly.
Give or take.
And honestly, a lot of men, a lot of guys who are around our age, and we won't say how old we are. We're in our early to mid and late 30s.
You're being generous with that late 30s for me. I'm in the last few months here.
It has been consuming a lot of our lives, as have regular sports has been too.
No question about it.
Sports.
Yeah, and we've got a lot to get to in this show. We're gonna eventually later in the show. It's not something we talk about often, but they are making a visit to Seattle September 13th. So we want to talk about WWE because we have an interview with one of their superstars, Nia Jax. So we're going to bring that to you. And they have a big event coming up this weekend as well. So we'll bring you that interview. But before that, the title of this show, did the Mariners win the trade deadline? And it's a complicated question from the standpoint, Najee, that I don't think you necessarily know the answer to this question until at the earliest the end of the season, maybe even after that, especially with Randy Arozarena being here, for the next 2 seasons under contract in 25 and 26. But at least in initial reaction, we can look at the moves they've done. We can take a look at the different things they were able to do and say, okay, I like what they did. I wish they did more. We can grade it. We can do all that good stuff. And that's exactly what we're going to do on this show. So I want to start with you, Najee, just your initial reaction when 3 o'clock Pacific hit the other day, the deadline had passed. How did you feel about the Mariners?
Well, here's the thing. At the time, I felt very underwhelmed almost. I mean, we're talking about Vladdy. We're talking about Robert Jr. We're talking about a lot of guys. And, picking up Randy Arozarena, let me tell you, as a Yankees fan, I'm heartened to see that because, one, he's out of the AL East, first of all. And all the Astros fans are probably deeply upset because this guy can hit. Yeah. He's probably exactly the type of hitter that the Mariners have needed. Think about Teoscar Hernandez, but better, I would say.
Yeah, sure.
He
brings a lot to the table, no question.
Brings a lot to the table. When we talk about bullpen help, also adding Jimmy Garcia, also a top-notch reliever, and also Justin Turner, who's just a steady hand, a veteran hand.
Yeah.
But when we threw out a lot of names, we've been throwing out a lot of names the past month or so about who can be available, and we told. You were in my show later on that day, and you kind of said, it was dawned on me why not much really happened with the Mariners. Now, from what they could do, A+.
Sure.
But why couldn't they do more, Niko?
Well, and that was an interesting thing when Jerry DiPoto did a press conference 15 minutes after the deadline had passed, and certainly press conference via Zoom. And he said, listen, right up until the final moments of the trade deadline, they were on the phones, and he alluded to the fact that they were really trying to add another bat. Yeah. I suspect that was Vlad Guerrero Jr., but he said that these teams were just not willing to part with them. And that's just part of it. He said that it was more, his direct quote was, it was more smoke than fire when it came to the big names that you and I talked quite a bit about, because they were tantalizing ideas. If you're a Mariners fan, but you just said those guys weren't available, and they weren't moved at all. It wasn't like, Here's my thing. I understand that there can be some skepticism when you're talking to Mariner fans about the front office, and just based on recent things. I think it's been a little harsh, but that's just one man's opinion. Okay. But the reality is this, when it comes to it, I think if you're a fan, you could be upset right now if, say, Vlad Guerrero Jr. was traded to Boston and not Seattle, or Luis Robert went to Houston. Whoa, I hit my microphone here. Yeah. Exactly. But the fact that they weren't moved at all, that's not the Mariners not doing something. That's the other team not doing it, like saying they're not going to do it. So I think you have to give them a little bit of a, I hate to say this, like, it's not saying, oh, you guys need to be more patient. No. I'm saying in that one instance of bringing in one more bat, I think you have to give them a little bit of a pass there, because the reality is, okay, if those guys aren't moving, then suddenly the next tier down, which if you're saying that Vlad and Luis Robert are the absolute upper tier, then your next guy's down. As good as they might be, Brent and Rooker, the prices had to be like off the hook for those guys.
And we've been saying for a while, at least I have, that I was like, yo, you got to pay to get the big guys. These teams are going to make you spend, but it gets to a point, I'm sure, and I don't exactly know, what Dipoto was getting at his desk, honestly, but, the Mariners can't trade half the team for Vladdy Jr. There's no way,
No, I think I still think they put a really good package together.
I mean,
and the Blue Jays didn't do it.
And, the Blue Jays moved quite a few players in and out. And when a team moves a lot of players, it almost seems, and especially when they're like maybe third or fourth, can't remember offhand where they are in the division. That may say that they may be ready to sell and just clean house and just kind of say, hey, this Vlad Bichette, experiment is not working. That's not what happened.
Right.
And I'm saying a lot about Vlad because I thought if any team was going to get Vlad Jr., it was going to be the Mariners, honestly, because the Mariners had the pieces as far as prospects and pitchers to get him, but that's not the case. So I'm heartened by what the Mariners did. And I think a lot of Mariners fans should be heartened as well.
I think if you're a Blue Jays fan, which I suspect not many Blue Jay fans check out our show, you never know.
Well, you know what? If you went to T-Mobile Park when the Blue Jays were in town, you would think a lot of them.
Yeah, sure. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I think if you're a Blue Jays fan, you're happy because I like what they did. They kept their cornerstone pieces, but they also sold a bit.
They did sell a bit.
They sold some guys that can bring back some return.
I was thinking that they were good. Like I said, I thought they were cleaning house. Like when I saw the first couple of trades happen, I think they traded one or two people maybe a couple days before the trade deadline. I was like, oh, Vladdy's on the way.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
That's what I thought. But that's not.
So, for the kids that are going back to school, I'm so glad as an adult I don't have to go back to school.
But the downside about being an adult is you don't have summer break.
No, that's a good point.
No, because
unless you're a teacher.
I know teachers, and I know a lot of teachers that are just like have been just hanging out for the past 2 months. They deserve it because honestly, teaching is exhausting.
Oh, sure, no question about that.
I can imagine. But then there's the whole going back to school thing. So,
that's not
great. No.
But on the vein of school, what would you grade the Mariners trade deadline? I have a grade in my mind what I would give them. What would you give them?
Well, it's funny because we always imagine the grade out of 100, but it seems like 100 is not everyone being available,
Yeah.
So maybe curving it out of 80. So I would maybe give the Mariners an A+, given they did what they could do.
Okay, I like that.
Given what was allowed to be done. The team was not bad. You have to think about it also. A lot of players are hurt. This lineup is not the ideal lineup. You're gonna get JP back. You're gonna get Julio back. And when you put Julio, Cal, and Randy 1, 2, 3, it won't be 1, 2, 3. But when they'll be in the lineup together, it adds a lot of depth that the Mariners didn't, and especially Justin Turner.
I like the Turner pickup.
I like the Turner pickup.
It's just, hey, let's try this out for a couple months, see how it goes.
And honestly, that's a good run of picking up the slack that they lost Ty France. He's a Red now. I feel like a lot of the Mariners and Reds do a lot of.
They do, same with the Mariners and Rays. They do a lot of trades.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. What do you think, Niko?
Yeah. Here's the thing. Both of our grades are going to kind of give away our fair or foul. So I'm going to put up our fair or foul, which is, did the Mariners win the trade deadline? I'm going to go with, if you said A+, that you probably think they won it, right?
I don't know if any team really won it, the trade deadline. Because it wasn't there wasn't a big fish that people wanted to grab. I mean, some teams, the Dodgers got Jake Flaherty, which was huge for them. And I really felt like it remains to be seen. I think a lot of teams are kind of like standing pat and hoping for the best,
Yeah, I agree with that. I would say they won it based on what you said a moment ago. If you're grading on a curve with that, nobody got the biggest names that people were speculating about, right? That nobody was bringing Vladdy, Luis Robert, those guys home. But based on what they were able to do, I think they won. Now, if you're, that's a difficult term. Are you saying that they beat everybody?
I'm not. Yeah.
Are you saying that they just won it for themselves? And if you're talking about one thing Dipoto said that I do agree with is that this team is, he quote unquote said, meaningfully better than it was a couple weeks ago. And I agree with that.
I agree with that.
And I think that if you look at these guys that they brought in, when Julio Rodriguez and JP Crawford come back, then you're talking about a team that, okay, this is a team I can get behind in the postseason.
Yeah. But you have to make it to the postseason.
You have to make it to the postseason.
And the only thing that, not the only thing, but one thing that helps out the Mariners pretty well is that the Houston Astros have not been playing good baseball lately.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness. I speak a lot as a Yankees fan, but I can say that there was some duality for the Mariners and Yankees.
Yeah.
not exactly in the most recent history, past couple games, but I mean the Yankees are fighting with the Orioles at the top of the AL East. That's one team that added a bunch of players. The Orioles, they were very, very busy at the.
They're all in, yeah.
They're all in, and they should be. But they also lost a couple games that kept the Yankees kind of close. In their division. The Mariners, same exact thing with the Astros. I think Astros fans are still shaking their heads that they have to deal with Randy Arozarena, which I can tell you, he's not a massive name. He brings an aura to the clubhouse.
Yeah.
And honestly, sometimes you may just need just an extra spark, a new guy, in the lineup. It's going to be fun.
We did a poll the night Arozarena was traded to the Mariners, and it's the one time that I've seen almost this unanimous, whatever the word is.
That was a good word.
I think I did say it right the first time.
That was not a $5 word. That was a $2.50 word, I think.
I'll take it.
Yeah, there you go.
I think that we put the poll out there. Do you like the trade? Yes, no, unsure. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to paraphrase here. It was something like, when it finished up with a few hundred votes, it was something along the lines of like 82% said yes, they liked it.
Yeah.
Only like 11 or so percent said they weren't sure. And the lowest was only about 5% said no. And to get that many Mariner fans, long suffering, but yet fiercely loyal Mariner fans, to be in that much agreement on one thing, that shows that you did a really good deal.
Well, and also that, I mean, the Mariners got Arozarena for, I don't want to say nothing. They got the Rays are going getting 2 prospects. But you kept Harry Ford.
Yeah,
kept a lot of pitching.
You kept all of your top 100 prospects, and that's why all of that. I'm going to say B+ for my grade. I don't have a knock at all with your grade. In fact, I think your grade's probably more accurate, to be honest with you, because you have to grade it like you said, with the idea that nobody got the biggest pieces out there.
No, the biggest pieces stayed completely.
Arguably, Arozarena was the biggest piece that moved.
Yeah,
well, maybe the most impactful.
Yeah, or Josh Chisholm.
Yeah. Tough to top, especially because he's hit the ground running in New York.
He's hit the ground running, but I think Randy would do it. Would do the same thing.
Yeah,
also.
If 1A, 1B, maybe you give slight edge to Jazz, but maybe like by the time you look at the end of the season, you're talking about something different.
This weekend's gonna be fun at the ballpark, though.
Phillies, yeah.
One of the best teams in all of baseball come to Seattle, the Philadelphia Phillies. This weekend, this will be a busy weekend in Seattle. You got Seafair, got the Fleet Weekend. You also have the Vintage Fair, and you also have the Phillies coming to Seattle, which is going to be very, very fun.
You got Sounders and Leagues Cup Sunday.
Sounders and Leagues Cup,
and you also have the Seawolves. They're not playing here in town. They're down in San Diego.
Rugby championship.
The championship.
I'm jacked up.
We got a rugby ball over there.
I'm jacked up, man. Fling it over here, man. I'm ready.
But I can't reach it from here.
The Olympics have gotten me so jacked up with rugby. Now, shout out to the USA women for
a
medal.
What a crazy final.
And the final was insane, though.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so grateful because, honestly, everyone should watch more women's sports, first of all.
Yeah.
But rugby is the type of game that I think Americans can fully get behind. One, it's an intense game. It focuses on strength and speed. It's kind of like American football. It's not, but it's kind of. Jason Kelsey was getting into it also.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's a fun game, and go Seagulls. We got
no question about it.
Yeah,
and I think there's always a lot of cool sports, but pretty impactful stuff. And especially like, Najee, you mentioned it when you talk about the Mariners. The Astros have kind of faltered a bit here, and so this is a window of opportunity.
Right.
They keep just like kind of trading back and forth. Maybe one team will be up a game, then it'll be tied. The Mariners recaptured the lead briefly the other day, and then they lost it by losing on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. There's opportunities. If anybody between those two teams can pull off like even a modest like 4 or 5 game win streak, and the other team falters, you're talking about a 2-3 game lead. And if you can do it, if you can get some real momentum rolling, okay, it was cool that they got a couple wins there. If you can get some real momentum, I'm talking about the White Sox sweep. They obviously lost the series to Boston. But if you can get some momentum going and you get it going against the best team in baseball by record, then you can maybe set yourself up for a really fun final 6 weeks of the regular season. And I think when you look at it in that perspective, these guys seem like they're getting acclimated. And if you can get on a run and be hitting your stride when Julio and hopefully JP are coming back, that sets the stage for what could be really a big time September to remember.
You may be traveling. I mean, we want to see Niko traveling out here. In October,
well, the thing is, if they win, the division is the most direct route to the playoffs, at least at this moment, you get to host the wild card series.
Yeah.
Because it would be the wild card because the other two divisional leaders are so much better in record.
Right.
So we'd see them host.
Yeah.
That best of 3 series.
And we saw last year with the World Series. I mean, the teams that made the World Series were the teams that were peaking at the right time.
Yeah.
The teams that are barely squeaking into the playoffs, not so much barely, but squeaking into the playoffs and really just hitting their stride. I mean, the Mariners were 10 games up on the Astros, what, 2 months or a month ago?
Yeah, a month ago. Yeah,
about a month and a half ago. And we see how that happens, and things can change so quickly. Not only that, the Rangers are lurking behind. I mean, we see the Astros and Mariners time, but the Rangers are only about 4 games out.
It's crazy to think about that.
It's crazy to think about that, but you have to also think about the division. It's not almost. It's the division of bust, really, for the Mariners.
I agree.
Yeah,
it is, and I think that's what makes this show in particular so special, because you're looking at, okay, everybody wanted the Mariners to buy. They did.
Yeah,
they brought in 2 relief pitchers. They brought in 2 impactful bats to the lineup, and given the landscape, as we've talked about at length, that's a good amount.
2 impactful bats that are winners.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. You know, guys that have played in the World Series. Rosa Reina has proven to be one of the most clutch playoff performers in the last few seasons.
Yep.
So you did these really nice targeted moves. The fans wanted the Mariners to buy. They did, to the best of what was available. And I like that it wasn't just like, that's a great point you brought up, because it wasn't just, oh, give me the best bat. And listen, Jazz Chisholm has been fan-freaking-tastic for the Yankees. However, you're talking about a Mariners team that needs to get some playoff experience. Who better than Randy to come in and kind of help lead the way in that regard?
The Mariners needed a guy who can hit home runs. Jazz has hit home runs in the Yankees so far, yes, but he's kind of an all-everything type of guy. You need a guy who's going to be scary in the lineup.
Absolutely.
Coming after or before Cal, or before or after Julio, whenever he comes back. I mean, we're looking 1 through 4, 1 through 5 with the Mariners. We're actually looking pretty good, to be honest. Yeah. When everyone is healthy.
I hope like a month from now we come back. Hey, remember that trade deadline grade? Yeah. Najee was right with the A+.
I'm right. Only some of the time. Wait till football season starts. We'll see how wrong I am.
Oh, I can't wait for football season.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And Seahawks, Huskies, Cougs, all camping, man.
All camping.
We're close.
Yeah.
And we're going to take a deep dive into those. Obviously, listen, this show becomes very football-centric in a little bit. So we've got summer, we got baseball. We're excited about that. How about, don't talk about big weekends in Seattle. How about the weekend of September 13th, 14th, that area, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Seahawks are on the road at the Patriots. Should be able to get a win there. But should be. But that's Apple Cup weekend. And the Apple Cup is at Lumen Field.
Yes.
And that's an interesting one, of course, because this game almost didn't happen, but it was Chuck Arnold and the Seahawks organization stepping up to host that game, because the reality was it was the Cougs' turn to host. But in this new reality of the Big Ten, then athletic director Troy Dannon, now replaced by former Cougs athletic director Pat Chun. Got all that?
It's the Pat Chun Bowl.
Yeah,
really is.
Kind of is. They got together and they decided to make it a neutral site game, even though it's in Seattle, and it's a game that both schools will make money on. So the Huskies, while not having a 7th true home game, which was what their motto of Troy Dannon wanted in the Big Ten, now they at least get a game that they're going to get paid some money from, and the Cougs will as well. And then they'll go back to alternating next year.
Unfortunately, there's no giant stadium in Kennewick for them to play in.
No, like that'd be pretty cool though. Yeah. Maybe they played in like Wenatchee.
Ooh, that'd be cool. The Tri-City Bowl.
Okay, now you're talking.
Yeah, try harder next time.
Also, though, that weekend, the day before, is WWE SmackDown at Climate Pledge Arena.
Always a fun day.
And here's the thing: we have a conversation I'm going to bring you coming up. What's interesting about WWE, and I certainly watched it as I was younger. I got back into it in the last maybe 18 months. And the reason I think I got back into it is because it's more mainstream than it's ever been.
Yeah.
It's not this like cliche niche thing where it's like
cliche niche, baby.
Yeah, that's
pretty good.
That's a good podcast.
That's
name.
A good podcast.
Cliche niche thing where like they're out in the open. Like, yes, it is scripted. Yeah, but yes, these people are also fantastic super athletes, and the storyline has been the storytelling rather has been off the charts, and it's more popular than ever. They have some crazy social media numbers. For some of their big events of the year. So WWE SmackDown at Climate Pledge Arena, September 13th. And if you're unfamiliar, SmackDown is, they basically have a Monday night show called Raw, Friday night show called SmackDown. They're broken up into 2 so-called brands. And so the stars of Friday night and SmackDown will rarely make appearances on the Monday show and vice versa. So it's stars like on Friday night SmackDown, Cody Rhodes, LA Knight, well played. Logan Paul, the internet sensation, and the person we're going to hear from here, who, by the way, is competing for the women's championship this weekend at their big, huge event, SummerSlam. It says Nia Jax. We caught up via Zoom, just talking about all thing wrestling. It's mainstream, and just to kind of get you ready for what's coming up in September. Obviously, really exciting things going on for you in the next few weeks leading up to SummerSlam. Just I mean, listen, it's every day. It's a grind for you all to have this kind of great opportunity like that. I mean, from a personal standpoint, professional standpoint, how exciting is all that?
It's so cool. SummerSlam is going to be like, it's like our, so WrestleMania is our big show, but SummerSlam is like, I feel like it's recently gotten just as big. Like it's pretty incredible. So I'm really excited about it. I have like, oh, my new gear that I'm getting ready, my whole look that I want. That's the fun part about it, like the whole like presentation. So everybody's getting really excited for it leading up to it.
Absolutely, and that's just it, and the opportunity for you specifically at that one. I mean,
Yes.
fighting for the title, cool. I mean, that's going to be. I know fans are excited for it, but just have that opportunity. How special is that?
Yeah. Well, winning the Queen of the Ring was pretty incredible. And then having that opportunity once we won the Queen of the Ring to get that title match was so cool. So going up against Bailey, who's been, really doing such a great job over the last few years, like with her story and her character. I'm just excited to get in the ring with her and show the fans what we can do and put on a great show for everyone.
Absolutely, and since your return, obviously, it's been main event matches and big things like that. Again, I keep saying the word how special it is, and certainly as an observer and fan, I am in awe of that. But how cool is that the journey you've had since you returned back to WWE?
It's a blessing. Honestly, I think if I didn't go through what I've been through, I wouldn't have been as grateful or in this position that I'm in. I feel as though it gives you a little bit more of a drive to work harder, to focus, to be able to also like let things go where you're just like, you know what, I'm going to try this and see if it works and have fun with it. Before, like, it was more like, oh, I can't do this. Like, I have to make sure that I follow a certain word. But now I'm just like, and also I feel our creative team allows me to do a little bit more without having the repercussions that I used to get.
No, right. Yeah, absolutely. And specifically, and I don't have to tell you this, but I mean, the women's division is just amazing to watch, and certainly in recent years has been showcased in such an awesome way. How great is it that you and your teammates are a part of that rise of the women's division and making it what it is today?
Well, it's so cool because I've come up, I came up through NXT and I came up with like our four horsewomen group, which was Sasha Banks, Charlotte Flair, Bailey, Becky Lynch. Those girls carried and did such a great job, but they have, handed over a lot of their knowledge and skill to some of our new girls here. We got Bianca Belair, we got Rhea Ripley, we have a brand new Tiffany Stratton coming up. So it's the women's division has been really like, before it was like, oh, it's a man's world in there and they're really like main eventing and killing. But now we got some of our women who are just killing it on the storyline front, getting in the ring, showcasing how good we can be athletically just as much as the men. And it's been fun. It's cool to surprise everybody every now and then.
And I'm always struck by my niece and nephew are huge fans and they love you. And it's from the standpoint that there's a whole generation of younger kids that are watching right now that it will be, as you said, it's not the man's world, it's everybody. And
yeah,
I'm sure you think about that, but have you thought about how great that is that there is a whole generation, especially younger fans, that this is what they know and this is what they're going to expect, their entire fandom of WWE?
it is. Well, it's funny because every time I go, I'm like at the airport, it's like before it would be like some, I'm not saying anything bad, but like some older guys that would be like, oh, I'm a big fan. I watch now. I'm getting like a lot more like younger kids. And it's surprising to me because that's what wrestling is. Like we are a family like show that we from generations and generations we're constantly like, it's always like passed down. And sometimes like, there's a little bit of a lull, but it always comes back. So it's always like now we got younger kids because I think from the beauty of having YouTube, because they can watch old YouTube clips and stuff like that. And on TikTok and all these like different streaming platforms that they see when they get to watch wrestling and they get to become fans. And there's such a vast dynamic of characters that they can be like, oh, I can relate to that one. And I like this one and I like that hair and I like that gear and I like that, so it is really a cool thing to know that like another generation is going to be able to look back on the work that I've been doing, now and be like, oh, that's kind of a cool, a big meanie, but a cool character.
Well, and that's just it. I obviously for folks in like our generation, it was like good guys and bad guys or whatever. Now you can just like whoever you want because of that. That's what I'm really struck by. Yeah. So again, I just talked about the popularity of it, but as a whole, I mean, again, something I don't have to tell you, we've seen WWE be probably as popular as it's ever been and as mainstream as it's ever been. And I mentioned a minute ago, what's it like for you and your teammates to be responsible? Like, I want to ask that same question, but in the regard that it's you and your teammates that have taken WWE to this new height where it's got this popularity that maybe we've never seen before.
It's a cumulative thing. It's cumulative. Like, we all have to come together and have that same goal in order for it to work. I come from a sports background where it's like you're only as strong as your weakest link on your team. And I think when we have that mentality now to where it's like, well, we want to make sure that everybody gets the support they can. So then we go out there and we put on the best show that we possibly can. And so it was actually, it's beautiful to see because, somebody like Roman, who had already stamped his legacy and forged his way before the bloodline, was able to be like, listen, I have this stature, I have this status to where I think like bringing up my family members and bringing up other characters into the storyline, into the bloodline, can really like elevate the entire division. Not only just from the men's standpoint, but even the women's. It created factions like you have the Judgment Day that was able to interact with them, and then you have Rhea on there who was able to interact with the men in the bloodline. So it's something like we just we have somebody that's up there that's bringing everybody up, which has in turn brought up the entire show all around.
Absolutely. And from our standpoint here in Seattle, I'm just curious because I know you guys travel out everywhere and anywhere. Do you have any specific, I don't know, memories, thoughts? It's okay if you don't, but any trips to Seattle you remember? Any thoughts on the city if you've been here? Anything like that, or is it such a whirlwind that you don't really get to do things like that?
So, and unfortunately, it's always been a whirlwind because when I've only been in Seattle when I was on Raw. So I'll tell you this, when I'm traveling and Raw is the last show that I do, I usually just go do my show and fly out the next day. So I never get a chance to enjoy it. Like, I really haven't had a chance to enjoy Seattle. But now coming back on SmackDown, where I fly into Seattle the day before, I'm able to kind of relax. I'm going to be able to enjoy it. Unlike before, it was like I would be on 3 shows before, and then my last show is Raw, and I'm like, okay, let me just sleep, get Raw over, and go home. But now I'm going to be able to, I definitely want to check out like the Sea Wharf. I think everybody says, what is it like?
Oh, the waterfront? Yeah.
Okay. There's like a where everybody goes and gets their fish and.
Oh, Pike Place Market. Yes.
Pike Place. That's where it is. And then like checking out like what? The first Starbucks? Is that where it is? Like, I don't know.
Oh, it's in Pike Place as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So there's things I want to do out in Seattle. I just haven't had a chance to. So hopefully, definitely this time around, I'm going to go.
Yeah, you have to catch it. I mean, I don't know if you want to do this, but have them let you catch the big salmon, the big fish. That's always a big tourist thing.
Oh, I'd love to.
Yeah, I just moved here 3 years ago. Our station's like right next to the Space Needle, so it's really cool. So
see, even better. I'm gonna put that on my list too.
No, you should. If it's a clear day, you can see all the different mountain ranges. Awesome. Okay, you don't need a tour guide on this quick Zoom call, but it's beautiful. I fell in love with it here, obviously. Is regarding pro wrestling and trips to the Pacific Northwest in specific. I've just observed, it's a region that's full of fans, and certainly the entire country is, I suppose. But what do you think about maybe growing the brand even more in this part of the country, and how special it would be to even reach out? You guys are always reaching out to new fans, but how cool it would be to engage with a whole new emerging fan base here in Seattle and specifically the Pacific Northwest.
I mean, WWE is always open to like building and developing great relationships with fans. I think as though because WWE started off on the East Coast, and it's always been kind of like an East Coast baby, that where we have a huge fan base. But whenever we go to the West Coast, we get so much love, and I personally love the mountains in Washington. I love going out there. So I definitely think, especially with us going to Netflix, we're going to have such a broad spectrum of the world watching. I think that it's going to be a possibility of us moving and having more shows out there, having more shows actually everywhere, because recently we've been going international every month. So I think that like you're going to see a lot of our shows and our connections being like everywhere now, not just because usually we were more East Coast. Now we're going to be all over the world. It's going to be great.
Yeah. And West Coasters, we won't have to avoid spoilers on Twitter before things start at 8:00.
Exactly.
So, Liz, there may not be anything here, but I just like rapid fired questions at you the last 10 minutes or so. Is there anything about what's going on with WWE, your journey, upcoming things that you wanted to touch on that maybe my questions didn't hit on in this interview?
We're going to be hitting up SummerSlam soon. Queen of the Ring, I got a title match against Bailey, the current champion, and I'm definitely going to beat her, but out in Cleveland. So I know that that's going to be amazing. And then no, I'm just excited to go to the show out there in Seattle, and now I get to try really cool things. Hopefully I can go catch the salmon and go up to the Space Needle.
Oh, we love it. Well, again, I know how busy you all are, so I guess I have a concept of I don't really know how busy you are, but thank you so much for covering on a little time for us. We appreciate it, and yeah, we'll be airing this coming up soon in the lead up to your visit to Seattle.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I appreciate it.
There you have it, Nia Jax. How fun was that?
That was pretty fun. You know, honestly, I grew up watching wrestling,
Yeah.
you know, and I like you kind of got into it, and I've seen her wrestle. She's intense.
Oh yeah,
and she's intense. She sounds so nice, but she's
well, and that's the thing you got to remember. Like they are, yes, super athletes, but they're also super athletes playing a character.
Exactly.
And Nia, you know, back in like the '90s, would have considered a bad guy, so to speak. You know, getting beating up people after matches and whatnot.
Right.
But then you talk to her, and she's the nicest human being.
And I think she should go to the top of the Space Needle. I think she'll get a kick of the view, you know, from the top of the Space Needle. It's beautiful. And also, maybe she might enjoy, you know, I always tell people to do the whole Grey's Anatomy thing, you know, hit the ferry from Bainbridge and just kind of hang out down the waterfront. You know, I think she'd really enjoy it, and I'm rooting for her against Bailey. I don't want to, no spoilers here, but we're rooting for Nia.
Yeah, we're officially Nia Jax fans. A, she gave us the time. B, she was a lot of fun.
Right.
And just super sweet. Even like asking about my little guy who was asleep during that interview. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he would have been like running amok and everything.
Wrestling has a kind of a semi big footprint out here because I'm not sure if I told you this. I ran into Daniel Bryanson.
That's right.
At my gym.
Right.
Twice.
Yeah.
Yes. It was crazy. I never talked to him because I'm scared.
Well, you just want to let the guy work out.
I saw him stretching for like 2 hours. I'm just like,
yes. Yeah, it really has become mainstream, and it's I think it already was, but I think it goes in waves. I think in the late '90s it was pretty darn mainstream,
right?
And it's gotten, I think, maybe even exceeding that level, probably aided by social media, but also aided by some really cool events they've had, and people that are superstars across. They do some great crossover, not just like The Rock being the mega star in the world that he is, and rejoining them earlier this year. But also, you know, they'll be. Remember we were talking. They have Tyrese Halliburton and Jalen Brunson on there, playing into the Pacers-Knicks rivalry, which is something
that was huge,
as popular itself as it's been since the late '90s.
That was super huge, and also bringing in super stuff like Jake Paul, just kind of like bringing in
Logan Paul.
Well, actually, at one point, both the Paul brothers.
You're right.
At one point, so it's a reason to watch. Honestly, I know a lot more people now are watching wrestling that grew up watching Stone Cold Triple H, and The Undertaker are now watching Nia Jax, now watching not Braun Strowman, but Braun Breaker now watching.
Oh yeah,
it's a fun vibe right now.
You know, here's my thing, and I'll end it with this. One of the things that really appeals to me, like why I enjoy watching it now. First of all, yes, great stories, and I think that kind of brings me in. But Seattle sports stresses me out. I'm so worried about the Mariners winning. I'm so worried about the Seahawks winning, and so on and so forth. You know, if a star I like to root for in WWE loses, I know they didn't really like it's something's gonna happen, like it's gonna be scripted. Like they'll find their way back. You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of stress free, like highly enjoyable stuff.
It's definitely fun to watch. I mean, think about your favorite reality show, but also think about like these are athletes, and the bumps that they take are real bumps.
They are for sure.
It really hurts when you get body slammed. It legitimately hurts. You can't pad that.
You can't pad that, especially some of these crazy things they do when they jump over tables and.
I used to want to be a wrestler when I was a kid.
Who didn't?
I used to jump off tables and stuff when I was a kid.
Well, maybe how about this? I'm gonna like conjure up a scenario here.
Okay.
September 13th, SmackDown. At the Climate Pledge Arena. It's also the night that the Rangers are in town to play the Mariners.
Okay.
What if like Cody Rhodes throws out the first pitch of the Mariners game, throws a strike, Mariners go undefeated the rest of the season?
You're writing novels right now. That sounds. I'm sure Mariners fans would not be mad about that. I'm sure Cody, if you're listening, come on the show. Also,
hey,
it'd be great.
We're working on that.
Yeah. And that'd be sick. I mean, I'm sure he's.
A little busy, but we'll see. We'll see what he can do.
He can fashion it.
Yeah,
we'll add him in the comments.
No question about that. And in the meantime, we appreciate Nia coming on. We appreciate your input. We love that you watch and listen. And certainly, the Mariners, we think right now, won the trade deadline. The answer, we'll find out if Najee and I are correct about that in the next couple months. So that is the KOMO Sports End Zone for Najee Moye. I'm Niko Tamurian. We're going to take a couple weeks on hiatus, but we'll see you on the other side of that. Thank you.
Bye-bye.